Something I've been wanting to tell ya for a very long time. Know it might hurt. Hope you don't lose your mind. I was just a boy, about 8 years old, when you threw me that Bible down that Mississippi Road. I love you, Papa. You did all you could do. They say the truth hurts, and so I lied to you. Yes, I lied to you. Oh, I love the blues. Yes, I love the blues. Let's get it. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Her Path, Her Pace, where growth meets grace. I'm your host, Shay, and thank you for tuning in on this lovely Tuesday or whatever day it is that you're listening to this episode. Yeah. So let's just get into it and go ahead and get caught up with each other and just dive right into life lately. Okay. Yeah. So just to catch up, school kicking my butt, y'all. School, oh my gosh. Let me tell y'all something. I'm getting my master's, right? In business administration for music. Music business is my track. But you have general business. Like, well, I don't know. Every school's like this, but the school that I am attending, you were learning general business and you learning general principles, and then you also learn, your music stuff, right? Cool. And so it's every class that's in the general, no, so yeah, every class is in the general business classes. We get to choose, or we get thrown into different markets or different industries. And so usually it requires grad school requires a lot of research, a lot of outside research to understand how to do the assignments and things like that. And so this class that I'm currently in, the industry that we are focusing on is airline industries. And y'all, I don't know nothing. I know nothing about nothing when it comes to airlines and how they operate and all of those things and their different performance metrics and standards and regulations. And I don't know nothing about none of that. Like, I've never, yeah. So that's what this class, that's the industry this class is focused on. Like, our big term project is focused on that, and every assignment is like in that industry. So it's like I'm doing research I'm having to look up stuff all the time and everything. And so but yeah, this last assignment, I stayed up. This is also it took me forever. Well, it didn't take me forever to do it. It just felt like long because it requires extensive research because I don't know nothing about the airline industry, and I had to do like this situational analysis of the company that I'm supposedly working for, and then I had to do and they're looking to potentially acquire another airline to help move along their plans and expansion and growth and stuff like that. And so I had to do a situational analysis of my airline, and then do a cost benefit analysis with a risk analysis discussing impact and all of that stuff about the two potential airlines that my company is looking to acquire. Yeah, I turned in about 12 pages. Oh my goodness, y'all. That was, yeah. Yeah, but hey, I got an A. I got an A. I'm so happy. And y'all, that's another thing. This professor, I fear, well, yeah, no, it's not. He is a hard grader, and I read his feedback and stuff like that and everything, and it's yeah, he a hard grader. So I had to, yeah, but I got an A. Like, I got a straight up A. Like, he said it was strong all the way around. He did give me some areas of improvement because, duh, you can always be better. But, yeah. And I instantly felt like a weight got lifted off my shoulder because, y'all, I was so tired. I'm operating now for 3 hours of sleep because I've spent so much time working on that assignment, even into last night. Like, yeah. But that's that's what's going on in my world. That's really all that's going on. But I like it because it's stretching me, and it's not like I'm not comfortable, but it's also showing me how to, these transferable skills are like they are transferable, and you can apply them to any industry, and also just it's also showing me, improving to me that just because I have the capabilities of learning about other industries and researching, even if I've never worked in them before. And that's also great and nice, like, check mark. I'm pretty sure that's a great skill on a resume and all those things. But yeah, that's what's going on with me. That's what's going on in my world, in my life, all those things. So yeah. But now we're just gonna move right along to shared steps, shared steps, shared steps, shared steps, shared steps. Okay, guys. So for this shared steps moment, I want to take the time to give flowers to the one and the only amazing and talented and gifted, soulful, lustrous voice that belongs to the one and only Miss Jill Scott. Okay? And not just because she can sing, y'all, because we already know that. Okay, she is a Grammy-winning award. She is a Grammy-winning artist, songwriter, actress, performer. The resume is endless, and the voice is there. The longevity is there. Okay? But what I've always admired about Miss Jill is her energy. She's always embodied, like grown woman, like, and there's something about her presence that's like, I know who I am. Like it just screams that her aura screams. I know who I am. It's not loud, it's not defensive, it's rooted. And her music is always centered love, but not a desperation kind of love or like a desperate kind of love, not self-abandoning, not I'll take whatever you give me. It's soft, it's open, it's sensual, but it's also discerning. And I know, like, I saw the video in her interviews when she was like, oh yeah, he got me and stuff like that. I saw that. We all make mistakes, but that doesn't change who, like who she's the person she has. How am I trying to say this? The perception that I've gotten of her, it hasn't hit like that didn't hinder it because she had a human moment. It hasn't defeated how it hasn't changed how I would because in everything she's always like made it clear that you can want partnership and still have standards, and you can desire love and still require respect. I got tongue tied. Lord Jesus. You can still require love and still require same treatment back. Reciprocity. That's the word. That was the word that tripped me up. And you can be intentional without losing yourself in the process. And that's wisdom. Because being intentional in relationships doesn't mean staying at all costs. It doesn't mean overcompensating for your past. It doesn't mean bending so much that you forget where you stand. And that's powerful. So this shared step is about honoring women who show us that love doesn't require self-erasure. That being intentional doesn't mean being unprotected. And that wisdom is just as important as desire. So giving Jill Scott her flowers for embodying grown, grounded, intentional womanhood. So thank you, Jill, for all that you have done and all that you are going to do. Here are your flowers. Oh man. So yeah, in this realm of, talking about being intentional and all those things, the topic that we're going to talk about today is going to be talking about, kind of intentional being intentional with relationships and stuff like that. So to set the scene, we're gonna hit it off first with her playlist. So, as I let you guys know last week, now her playlist segment is going to be the soundtrack of our main topic, or our main, of our main topic for the episode. So, for this week, as we're going to be talking about being intentional and stuff like that, but we're going to focus on my mistakes. And, well, we're talking, that's the topic and stuff like that. And it's intentional in dating. And so, to kind of help set the scene and get, in the frame way of how I was feeling and as I go through the story, you have these songs playing as you listen through on another device. And or if you don't want to hear me blab at all, you can just listen to the songs and you'll be like, oh, okay. And yeah, cool. So the soundtrack of this episode, soundtracks for this episode is, first one is Focus by her, and the second one is Cranes in the Sky by Solange. So, yeah. So you can go ahead, play them out, listen to them. Yeah. Now let's get it. Because now we're going to let's walk through it. I made topic of discussion. So, like I said, I was dating intentionally. And when I was in my intentional era of dating, I not many people had access. A lot of people really no one. I was very, very, very strict and very rigid in dating, and you really got cut off for the smallest, not even the smallest thing. It just, I wasn't in the space of wasting my time because I was being intentional. And if I didn't see if it didn't feel like it was in alignment with myself, with my beliefs, if I didn't feel like chemistry or whatever, if it was something that felt lacking or I didn't feel a desire to continue, well, then you lost access, and I just, that just happened. But I mean, even in that, when I was dating, I would let them know I am being very intentional about dating and the space that I'm in. And yes, on occasion, I definitely got accused of some guys just left off rip after hearing that too. Not even I cut them off. They just didn't want to continue dating me because they claim that, oh, that just means you're going to fall in love with whoever comes next and you're going to make it work with whoever comes next. It doesn't matter if it's actually Mr. Right or if it's somebody that you are compatible with and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, not true. Even so when guys will say that, I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're not gonna do anything. This is probably the last conversation we're gonna have. So, I did get accused of that, but that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case at all for me. Went a long time actually, before I finally came across somebody that I was like, oh, yeah, yay, okay, cool. The being intentional, it was great in the vetting process. It was amazing. But then I made a mistake. Then I misstepped, and I didn't apply my intentional efforts completely all the way through, and I fumbled the bag a bit. And what happened was, my crush came along. He was a childhood crush and all that. This is not a venting episode about our relationship and all of those things. If you want to hear that, you can go listen to, I believe, episode 6, when loving people from a distance, or when loving is a living choice, something like that. I believe episode 6, I believe, is that episode. So if you want to hear the yap session about that, go listen to that episode. That's not what this episode is. This episode is how I skipped being intentional in dating with him because I had a crush on him and because I looked at him this certain way and everything. I skipped the vetting process. I wasn't checking for alignment. I wasn't checking for compatibility because I like you already. I've been liking you. I've been interested. People been wanting a chance, been wanting a shot and stuff like that. You know, I didn't take the time to even pause and be like, man, is this man even capable of giving me and, you know, giving me what I want, you know, pleasing me, like meeting my needs, you know, and is he gonna help me grow? And skipped all of that. Skipped all of that and went from intentional dating to immediately intentional building because, yeah. And along the way, by me, now with him, along the way, I conflated staying with being intentional. And because of that, we entered, like, you know, I had this domino effect where my boundaries were constantly being pushed and over, like, you know, ignored and things like that. And, you know, it was one thing, you know, talk about it. I'm not going to do that again. Okay, cool. Then it was another thing. Talk about it. Okay, cool. Then there was another thing. Then there was another thing. Then there's another thing. And another thing. And another thing. It just, you know, until my compromise became the expectation. Not him showing up and actually putting in the work and stepping up to the plate. So, and I mistook, once again, conflating something, mistook tolerance for patience. I assumed because that I was tolerating and forgiving and compromising that I was being patient and offering him grace and giving him the opportunity to grow. But that is not at all what I was saying to him. What I was saying to him, and what I was letting other people know that knew what was going on in that situation, is that Ariel's boundaries, they flimsy. Like, you know, because when you keep loosening your boundaries, you teach people how little is actually required to be in your life. And I didn't realize that. I did not realize that in the moment. It was definitely a hard lesson learned. And like, because like I said, my compromise was what was always expected now. Me compromising, me loosening my boundaries and meeting him where he was at. But y'all, staying only works when both people bend, when both people are willing to compromise, and then both are willing to grow and change together. That's the only time staying works, if both parties are doing it. Not just one, not just me. If it's both of us, right? And I ain't gonna hold y'all. What it cost me, I can't tell you. Like, there were moments, and my sisters, my brother can vouch for this. My parents, they probably were thinking it too, but I ain't never tell them. But my sisters and my brother, oh, I was like, how the hell I get here? I found myself saying that too many times. Too many times. I ended up in too many situations, but it was just like, of all people, Ariel, how did you end up here? This is not making no type of sense because of the type of person that I am. And it's just like, I was asking myself the same thing. How did I get here? How did I get here? And what's okay, my body was showing signs of being drained and exhausted way before I was ready to admit the truth about the situation. And I ain't gonna hold y'all, the comment that really did it for me, love you, daddy. But my daddy said, he made a comment one Sunday at church, and he was like, you know, you tired or something? I was like, yeah, a little bit, but you know, not really. And he was like, you're looking a little, you might want to put on some makeup. And y'all, my daddy's a natural person. He doesn't really care for all of that extra stuff. So I must have been looking pretty down bad. Pretty darn rough. Pretty darn rough. if my daddy told me to put on some makeup. Now, granted, I did have a conversation with him and I let him know, you probably were seeing me with your spiritual eyes because I know exactly what you're seeing. And I was like, yeah, everybody don't see that, daddy. Everybody ain't seeing me looking like that. I know exactly what you're seeing. Because yeah. But the light was definitely gone out of my eyes. The spark was gone. I was drained. Hollow eyes. Like, I know I kind of got bags right now, but these are bags. These are well-earned bags, okay? These bags got me an A. Okay? I compromise on that to get a good idea. But yeah, it was my skin was dull. Like, there was nothing I could do to bring life to I was breaking out like crazy. My body was in so much pain every week. Like, a different part of me just was hurting. Like, I can't tell y'all. I can't even express it enough. And the turning point for me, honest to goodness, I had a spiritual reset. Like, my spiritual reset woke me clean up and helped pull me right on at God and getting closer with Him and getting into my word and praying, as I talked about in last week's episode, like talking and having these conversations with God and really and truly and honestly finally bringing it all to Him and letting it all out. That's when the fog, like I said, the fog was lifting. Not just about man's convictions, not just about all of that, but even with this, the fog was lifting for every situation going on in my life. That's what helped me, God. God helped me get up out of there. God helped me see. God helped me. That was my turning point. And he didn't know he was running out of time. He didn't know. He didn't know that each and every time that stuff would happen and it'd take me longer and longer and longer to the point I didn't even reach out anymore. He had to come he was reaching out to me. Because that's the thing. At first, when we would have falling outs and stuff like that, I would reach out to him and initiate the conversation. It went from me doing that to me taking longer to do that, to me eventually not doing that, and now him having to do that. And he wasn't picking up on the fact that you're running out of time. You're running out of time. Your time is running down. But that's all right. That's okay. And so the lesson, the real true lesson here is that without boundaries, well, at least for me in that situation and everything, and what it taught me, not just for romantic relationships, but any relationship, friendships, platonic relationships, if it's an associate, if it's a workplace relationship, any kind of relationship, okay? It taught me that without boundaries, intentionality can become self-betrayal. You can overcompromise and you can overbend if you don't stand firm in your boundaries, because boundaries are not a bad thing. And that was also kind of part of, like, the people pleasing aspect of that I was also having to grow from, that I didn't realize that I was doing. Because when my people pleasing wasn't saying, oh, so and so is this, and praising and singing their praises at the top of the lungs, like as if they're perfect humans and all that. No, my people pleasing would be out by my tongue. Yeah, you hurt my feelings, but it's okay. Like, it ain't that deep. That was my people pleasing. And or I it would take me, because my people please, I put your feelings before mine. That was my, and I convinced myself that no, that just means I love them, and like that's how I care, and that's how I show up for people, and no, it was because I didn't want people to abandon me, and in hopes of keeping them around, I just put their feelings before mine. And not in the sense, like I said, not in the sense I'm singing their praises as if they're this perfect human and they can do no wrong, and like not saying we didn't have conversations and confrontations. No, it's just I cared more about them than I cared about myself. And that was that. And what also I learned in this situation when it comes to being intentional with relationship building, and like I said, in any type of relationship building, it requires discernment, standards, and mutual efforts. Mutual efforts. So everybody involved has to be willing to compromise and willing to change and willing to grow. So that was the root and real lesson there in that for me. And like I said, hard won, learned by moi. So I went through that. So you don't gotta go through that. Just take the message and the lesson from listening so you don't have to learn it the hard way. Because when you in the thick of that, learning that lesson in the thick of it can drive you insane. Because like I had some dark days. I had some dark days. And I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish that on my worst enemy. I really don't. So like I said, I went through that. So you ain't gotta go through that. So don't go through that. If you feel yourself doing that a little bit, if you find yourself questioning whether or not you firm your boundaries or not, you're probably not. I'm sorry. Like that. Like, let's be honest. If you're sitting there like, am I solid on my boundaries? 9 times out of 10, you're not. Because people who are, they know them, and they're not and they stand 10 toes on them. Yeah, and so that's the thing. So yeah, that's the lesson. That's the lesson in it all. That's the lesson in it all. But also, in order to be able to know that and see that, you also have to know yourself. You also have to take the time to spend time with yourself and understand what are your boundaries. What are things that you don't want to do? What are things that you are willing to compromise on? What are things that you are not willing to compromise on? And no matter who comes your way, I don't care who it is, you stand firm on those. And that's just that. Love ya. So we're gonna keep it going right along. 2 letters along the way, way, way. Mm-hmm. So I would love to hear your guys' voices and your stories. If you can relate to, some mistakes that you may have had in being intentional, whether that's intentional in dating, intentional in building friendships, intentional in job search, like anything. If any mistakes or lessons that you've learned about along the way in terms of that, or if you want to write in and ask me some questions, and maybe I'll talk, and I can talk and give some advice. It's not going to be professional advice because I am not a therapist and I am not licensed, nor am I certified. So I'm just going to give you the best thing that I can do. And I am praying that I don't mess up your life because that's not what I want at all. But yes, if you want to share those stories or you would like some advice from more, you can email those letters to lettersalongtheway@gmail.com. That is lettersalongtheway@gmail.com. Cool. Now here we are at Glow Up Goals. So I know I said we are doing the 75-day challenge, and we are. I am still doing the 75-day challenge. However, I am waiting for my trainer to get my workout plan to me, and my nutritional guide to me, because I told y'all, like, this is enough. This is me being intentional. I have a goal. I have a body goal in mind that I want, because I'm finally at my natural state. I finally, like, no stress weight, no depression weight, no none of that weight, no extra. Because at this point in time, usually I would put on about 15 to 20 pounds. I haven't put that on this year. I'm finally actually sitting at my natural lean petite body stature. This is how my body is supposed to be. Okay, this is the natural genetics at its finest. This is where my body is right now. And yeah, so now I have a good foundation to start from, which is my natural body. So I'm waiting for my trainer to get that information to me. So we're going to start next Sunday, which is also my birthday. So that's when we're gonna start, March 22nd. So, but just to remind you what the 75-day challenge is, we are journaling every day, working out, and we are working out every day, and we are eating to support the workout goals. Okay, whether that means if you want to lose weight or something, like you need a high fiber, high protein diet, or no carbs, or whatever kind of thing you want to eat to support your workout goals, that's you. I'm not putting any stipulation on whatever that is. But yeah, that's what. So yeah, but what was I saying? Yeah, so work out every day and eat to support that, and go on a 30-minute walk every day outside, in the sun. That's what we're gonna do, and then read a chapter out of the Bible a day, and read 10 pages out of a book just for fun. Any book, it can be a nonfiction book, fiction book. I I have a couple of thrillers, some one-off thrillers that I want to read. So yeah, that's probably what I'll do. But yeah, so that's gonna be our 75-day challenge. And we're gonna start on March 22nd, my birthday. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where those accents just came from. Okay, anyways. Yeah, so that's that. Gonna keep on trucking. Yeah. So yes, as we reach our grace notes, these are the words of encouragement. We have reached the grace note of the episode, our words of encouragement. And I want to let you know, like I said in Jill's, shared steps moment, you can love deeply and still require reciprocity, because reciprocity is literally the bare minimum. The bare minimum. Okay? And what is meant for you will not be offended by your boundaries. Like, that's just the truth. And the quote that I want to leave you with today is, when you are clear about who you are and what you deserve, you will not accept less. And that is from the one and the only Miss Ileana, from Miss Ileana Fix My Life. Okay? So take the time to truly understand yourself, and take the time to pour love into yourself, because that is also a mistake that I made. I was so focused on finding love in someone else instead of relearning how to be in love with myself. That also played a role. So don't do that. Take the time and fall in love with yourself again. Love yourself, get to know yourself, pour into you, and I promise you will attract. It'll come. It'll come. Just be patient and it'll come. But yeah, that's that. And now we have reached the end of another episode. I know this week's episode is a little short. Well, not a little short. It's shorter than most of our episodes. But we just kept trucking along, and that's how the episode went this week. So I hope you guys appreciate this. I hope you guys learned something from this lesson. Learn something from my life, from my story and my mistakes, and the mistake that I made with trying to be intentional in dating, and understanding your boundaries are your boundaries, and do not shake them up for anyone. If you're in a relationship, compromise should be happening on both sides, not just yours. Okay, so yes, go ahead. Remember, we are pushing the 75-day challenge to next Sunday. So go ahead and prepare mentally for that. If you already got started, then great. Don't stop. Don't stop for us. We'll join and catch up with you next week. But yes, so until next time, guys, remember to pause, breathe, take a beat, and don't forget to give yourself grace. Until next week, guys. Bye.